Damn, what kind of noise is that? It sounds like one of the undead. Hemorrhage? Hemorrhage! Just doing my vocal warm-ups there. Hi, welcome back to the inside of my head. I am back from my vacays and I've got loads of cool stuff for you. You may or may not notice, but I am blocked up to and yes, it's the Rona!
It's not the Rona. Saying that just makes him feel special.
But you guys don't want to hear about that. All that shit. We've got imaginary monsters to get all obsessive about. So let's get stuck straight in with number 5, Manda. Now, there's been a few requests for this vid, so I get the feeling there's a lot of love for this guy out there. So get in the comments and let me know what exactly it is that you love about him and what other creatures you want to see videos on, or other topics in general, generally, you know. So Manda is a giant sea serpent who first appeared in the 1963 movie Atragon, where he was the protector of a civilization long thought lost called Mu. Yes, Mu. Where, long story short, he ended up frozen, followed by an appearance in Destroy All Monsters where he attacked London. Then in Godzilla Final Wars where he was frozen with an ice cannon and then broken to pieces. Now, I guess there's not a million ways to go when tasked with updating a sea serpent. It's always going to be long and snake-like, so it's really just a question of detailing. But even so, they've done a pretty good job with this guy. I'm not that familiar with previous incarnations of this guy, but it seems like they've moved his front legs further forward. And I love this almost mantis-like shape that they have, with this reverse spike coming out of the reverse knee joint, and these 3 spikes on the end. Of course, in relation to the body, these legs are tiny, but if they were any larger, they would just drag more as he swam, as this guy is clearly evolved for swimming quickly through the water rather than anything else. Did that one just swim straight into Tower Bridge? What are you, fucking blind?
Actually, that's Crystal, and she is blind. I hope you feel good about yourself. We got her a guide dog, but she ate it.
His rear legs are more like frog's feet. Could almost be overlooked as part of these long body-length fins, and which I think look very, very cool.
We got her a sight stick, but she can't hold it because she doesn't have fingers. And then she ate it. Oh, yeah.
I know older incarnations had something that looked like a mohawk running down his back, and Final Wars Manda had a fin that ran down the length of his body more like an eel, but that was much, much smaller, so I've never seen anything quite like this, and it's awesome.
Took her to an eye doctor, but he was from Thailand and she's a racist, so she didn't want him touching her. Oh my god, really? I'm so embarrassed. IKR, right?
No, you can't say IKR, right? The R is right. It's like saying I know, right?
Right, totally. Oh, you're such a fucking asshole.
Oh, shut the fuck up. You've never liked me since I started dating Steve. Girls don't date each other's exes, Phoebe. It's like the rule. We can also see here that, like many of the creatures in GSP, he has multiple rows of teeth, although they're quite small for a creature of his size.
She's attractive enough, but when she smiles, you see too much gum. Not a good tooth-to-gum ratio.
Shall we call this one Gina?
There is nothing wrong with my teeth!
Anyway, the traditional long whiskers are present and accounted for. At least the ones on the tip of his nose are. Previous incarnations had them on the body as well, and they are gone. Well, as the spine spikes along his back and the 4 horns on the top of his head. But the overall shape of his head is much pointier at the front now, and his eyes are much smaller and further forward. Much more eel-like or viper-like. Now, I'm sure I've noticed this tail shape on a few different creatures. Rodan has this, and I just can't think where else I've seen it, but I'm sure I've seen it somewhere else too. But regardless, I guess it's a nod to the shared evolutionary route that all of these creatures have. Previous incarnations have been known to walk on land as well, and I would have loved to have seen how that worked exactly in GSP. Did he, like, tinkle along on those little legs, or did he slither along like a snake would? It's most likely that he slithered. I mean, look at those legs. They're not going to hold any weight, are they? Like the Rodan, they travel in groups now and spread the red dust known as Archetype across the seas. Manda is traditionally a constrictor, and we don't see it doing any of that in the show. Not that we see him doing many attacks at all, as most of them are shrouded in dust and debris. Godzilla seems to hunt them as seen here, and it's a real shame that we don't get to see a full-on fight between them, but as Godzilla isn't involved in many fights at all in Singular Point, we can't really complain. Well, actually we can. Other than GZ's fight with Jet Jaguar, this is really the best we get, and we really needed to see more. I love how they seem to wrap around each other and how Manda manages to get latched onto GZ's neck, even though it's easily blasted off and blasted in half, in fact. One thing that I found interesting was that he doesn't evolve like the other creatures seem to do. At least, not noticeably. And if we take the evolutionary template of, say, the Rodan, where it starts out as one of them and then turns into hundreds of them and then comes back as one large one, perhaps the same could happen with Manda. So does Godzilla hunt these guys for food, or did they just really piss him off somehow? Who's selling my cereal? I mean, we don't know, but I do know that this is one of my favorite GSP redesigns.